In the book Different Drum by Scott Peck, he's the guy that wrote The Road Less Traveled, he talks about the single best way to build community is to engage people in dialogue about our vision. Why are we here? That's the sense of connectedness that grows from that is like nothing else. That's the single best way to do it. At a minimum, do donuts. That's probably the cheapest way. And you know, doing donuts at least facilitates a dialogue among those who like donuts. That will have, according to the statistics and from best practice in parish stewardship, that giving will raise 6%. Isn't that the darndest thing? And it could cost you nothing. You know, if you put a bowl out or a jar out for donation, some of them will throw a buck in it. It would probably be a break-even activity. One of the more interesting bits of research that's come out is on welcoming activities. In churches that have what the author, this researcher, Zach, calls an assertive welcoming program. Now, he defined it. Assertive means we're all on the welcoming committee. So if you see somebody you don't know, you go introduce yourself. An assertive welcoming program increases giving by double digits. Isn't that bizarre? Pardon me, I'm sorry, 5%. So should you have an active welcoming committee? It will cost you nothing. Did it get you 5%? Absolutely. New member receptions, that seems to have a double-digit impact. Regular potluck dinners, quarterly potluck dinners. Cost you nothing, you got to have the room. 9% above average. If you have 4 more community building activities per year, your giving is going to be 10% above average. Now the last 2 research studies I want to talk about are just sort of mind-boggling. Everybody knows Abraham Maslow and the theory that unmet needs motivate. You don't have to read these 2 books, but fascinating research has come out of The Millionaire Next Door guy. He wrote The Millionaire Next Door and The Millionaire Most. And he's discovered they have one unmet need. And we know the unmet need motivates. And that's the social need. To connect with others of like mind, or that connect with people that they would admire. And among them is going to be their pastor. So for them, the unmet need, no amount of money can connect me. I cannot buy a ticket to friendship. I have got to work at it. I got to go to social events. I've got to sign up. You can meet that need. Your pastor, in the eyes of many, is an admirable person people come to listen to and learn from on a weekly basis. Use that. Use that. That will fulfill an unmet need. Access to the pastor. I think Blake brought it up a minute ago. Access to the pastor. Social events with the pastor. Allowing people to interact socially with the pastor. Gigantic impact. We had a new pastor in a small church in Stanley. We just basically did that one thing. We had a series of events. Everybody got to get to know the pastor better. Giving went up by what? An overall increase of 10%. We had an increase in the number of pledges by 20%. So non-pledgers become pledgers after interaction with their pastor. There's a guy who studied the methodology in Good to Great. His name's Tom Rayner, and he applied it to churches. Wrote a book, Breakout Churches. And wrote a second book, Simple Church. There are 300,000 Protestant churches. He looked at them all. He found about a dozen that were doing really well. And he has come forth with his new book, Simple Church, where he says those dynamic churches have 3 things in common. Number 1, dynamic worship that brings them in. Number 2, very active social life. Very deliberate activities to engage people, to make social connections. And number 3, the expectation that you will volunteer, and I will facilitate volunteering so that you practice what you preach. So the second one of those is the big one that fits in this category. Very deliberate social effort, connecting people with others of like mind. Now here are a handful of ways to build your sense of community. Jim Lehman over here from Metcalf Bank, swell guy. Notice his church, Metcalf Bank. He wears that shirt all the time. Hope you have more than one, Jim.
It is not my church.
We right away know he's part of Metcalf Bank, and it's an important enough thing where he's got that logo right here. T-shirts, baseball caps, you got a uniform on? Well, we know you're associated with an organization that has uniform. So, right away. You know, you got a logo on yours. You got the polo logo on here. Put your church logo on T-shirts, baseball caps, pens, premiums. The premium business is gigantic. dinners, support groups for all manner of needs, study groups, a large foyer, a welcoming program, mentor families for new members, a member directory, a branding survey, have a favorite charity that your church supports. What else could we do in your church, in your organization, to facilitate social connections?
Ministries.
A men's group, a women's group. I'm looking for a men's middle-aged, overweight fly fishing support group.
Right.
Everybody needs something. What else can we do? More social connections at your church.
I like dinners for 8
Dinners for
versus a potluck because they're more intimate.
Great idea. Dinners for 8.
We do twice a year a sermon series that we build a small study guide that's meant to be used off-site in small groups. A month or so prior to that, the pastor really pushes, get signed up with a small group. You want to make sure that you are able to go through this study that complements the messages on Sunday morning and will be, great, whatever. And it seems to really get people into those small groups for the period of time that we do that. They may or may not stay, but at least they've got that community for that period of time.
That's a great idea.
And then some do continue after that.
That's a great idea. It's got an open an entry point.
Right, so people don't feel like they're committing for the rest of their lives. It's just for these 4 weeks, 6 weeks, however long the study is.
Yeah, that's really a great idea. The episodic nature of that is very attractive to people, particularly who are on the fringes of your church. Most churches look like a target where you've got a third of the people who are very active, a third who are occasional, and a third we call CEOs, Christmas and Easter only. We probably all have those. So the fringe dwellers need an easy entrance and exit. So if it's got an episodic nature, an open door and a shut door, in and out, that'll work well with them. That's a great idea. Other things that might work in your church? Steve?
I just was thinking about weekly aerobics or maybe monthly bowling.
Oh, yeah. Some kind of athletic activity.
Right.
Anything else we can do socially? Build connections between your people. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to say is teach people how to meet their needs, where they can learn to save money, get a new house, and get a new car. Because a lot of times people look at only certain groups of people getting new things, but letting people know, no, you can get a new car, you can get a new house. Learning to use your money with the little that you have and make it into a lot, and that is by giving your 10%. But I think sometimes when people see results, they'll learn to give more when they see, oh, I got this new car, oh, I got this new house. Because a lot of times people don't believe that they can actually have nicer things, and that's why sometimes they hold on to their money, well really they end up losing at the end because they're not giving.
So maybe a series of classes around that, or small group or publication.